Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. So the first item is the approval of the agenda, and there is one addition under 9A, Chris Hemick Auditor. It is Fund 8961, transfer an additional appropriation for pauper attorney fees. So if everybody's okay with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion made by Stan.
Second.
Second by Paul. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Public comments, Becky Guthrie, Ride Solutions Director.
She's not here.
We did receive some information from her. I think she also sent it to the commissioners, if I remember correctly from their last meeting. She's not here. We'll move on, I guess. Warren Taylor.
Well, some of you showed up after I passed some copies out that I just want everybody to look at those copies and see. My scanner copier is shot. Anjan worked on it for about an hour and a half Tuesday. He said it costs more to get the parts to try to fix it than what the copiers worked. I originally was going to ask for money to buy a new one, but at this point in time, I'm just letting you know I'm going to start transferring money, moving stuff out of line items, so into my office expense, so I can buy a new copy printer. I checked around online. I found that Radio Shack has got the best deal of anybody on copiers. It's got a 2-year warranty, 2 years of free ink, and it's going to run $449. So.
Is it a laser printer?
It's a laser. It's a Epson laser super tank colored printer, scanner, fax. Because this stuff that I'm scanning, I have to send to like Indianapolis and to attorneys. I'm getting everything back saying they can't read it. I have to redo it, and I have to get somebody else to send it to them. So it's a waste of time, waste of paper trying to do anything when that's what it comes out like.
It's got 2-year warranty and 2 years of free ink.
Free ink is what they told me at Radio Shack.
Any idea what the ink will run per cartridge after?
It's like a bottle of ink is like $29 a bottle, and this scanner I got right now, the ink for it is like $60 per color. So the bottle ink's a lot cheaper than what we're using right now.
A laser printer, though, it lasts longer. You can make more copies, so that's why it's a little higher than.
But I just wanted to let you know that this is what I think extends from a leaky roof for about 2 years for Mr. Hendershot. Finally, he figured out what was wrong after they retucked the brick and everything else. That didn't stop it, but he's got it stopped now, and I hope it stays stopped.
I don't have my budget book with me, but do you have money in your office supplies, or
I got
you're getting low?
in my office supply, I got $287.
Okay.
But then in the other line items in the 2000 category, I've got enough that I can transfer, move over to it to take care of it. Hopefully, some of the items in, we're still early in the year, but like right now, I've got money in uniforms and body bags and stuff that we have not touched yet, but still we're only in 4 months. We got 8 to go, but.
When are you gonna start transferring?
Well, probably tomorrow.
Okay.
Because Radio Shack said it'd take 2 days to get this scanner in up there, so. And if Anjan and
If you had it
Anjan
here,
don't
we
come
could
up.
approve that tonight.
Well,
because,
yeah, but I
The
didn't know about
transfers you
this.
won't have to approve because he's doing in-house. They're in the same
Yeah,
category.
they're on the same
Okay.
category now, so. But Anjan was gonna look around and see if he could find one, but he hasn't got back with me yet. But at this time, this is the best deal I found anywhere, and it's buying local and not going out of county to buy it too, so
If you think it fits your needs, then I think you need a printer.
I think it does, so, I mean, it's just, it's
I guess you don't-
aggravating with the way it is now that,
Yeah, you can't read that.
no. Especially, you know, stuff going to court, attorneys can't take that to court, so,
And he
Okay.
doesn't need approval, so,
okay, good enough,
Okay.
thank you.
thank you. Next on the agenda, Rachel Rourke, clerk for part-time deputy.
Yes, my part-time person is now gone, so we would just like to fill that, or get your permission to fill that position if we could. We really need somebody. It's been hard during election time right now without that extra person. We are paying for it out of our clerk's budget, or clerk's records perpetuation budget. And that position was budgeted for the year, so just hoping we can get it.
I make a motion that we, allow her to rehire, fill that position with budgeted.
We'll open it up for discussion.
Sure. Did anybody second it yet?
Yep, Gail did. We had a
Okay.
motion by Keith and Gail seconded it, so we'll open it up for discussion.
Hearing gets on, gets bad when you get older.
I have some concerns, not with your office or the position or anything, but with our under budgeting for our pauper attorney fees and things that we're gonna have to look at cutting, or finding money for the pauper attorney. So, I would like to hold off on this. Actually, I would like to hold off on any hiring right now until we figure out what we're gonna need, a closer estimate of what we're gonna need, or areas that we can look for money. If we have to hold a special meeting to do that, then we need, I did send out an email asking everybody for their ideas. Because I made some notes here. I think, again, we budgeted $150,000 this year for the pauper attorney fees. As of March, we needed an additional $48,000, so we were at $198,000, somewhere in there. And on our agenda, we have an additional $75,000 that we need right now. So if we take all of that into consideration through April, the first 4 months, it's $273,000. So we're averaging like $68,250 a month. So I'm just really concerned about where we're going to come up with that money. I'm not interested in raising taxes to find it. So I think we need to find efficiencies from within. I'm not saying that I would suggest that this be forever to not replace this. I just think maybe for a temporary until we can figure out what we're going to do here, because we have 8 months left. And if we continue, even with the money we have set aside, the full 160, we're potentially going to need another $461,000. So I'm just a little concerned about that.
If we need money, then would that, can take salaries out of that clerk's record perpetuation now that we are taking out of general now? Can that be taken out of, this clerk's record?
You
perpetuation?
mean, start paying some of this, if some of the salaries are paid out
If
of
we
the
need
general
to,
right
because
now?
we're gonna have to
pay 'em out
meet
of-
on how much we're gonna have
I
to
think
come
we
up
can do
with.
that. I mean, I think we can, you mean
Well, if you can
replace,
pay a part-time out of it, you can pay some that's already in our general fund now. And then,
Yeah.
and then start taking it out of there.
So if it's my understanding, the clerk's records perpetuation, that's money our office earned, right? To county, no money is coming out of county general to pay for my part-time. So that affects
Yeah.
nothing, correct?
but what Stan's trying to say is if we can take the current salaries that we pay out of the general and take them out of perpetuation and free up money in the general, that will really help
We're gonna,
with the pauper
we're
attorney
gonna
fees.
need money in the general. I mean, I don't know if
So,
anybody else has got any ideas.
Rod's not here, is he? I'm
He's on
thinking,
vacation this week.
but I'm thinking though, according to Robert's Rules of Orders, if you've got a motion and a second, we have to act on it.
we have discussion.
No, according to Robert's rules, you talk about it after the second.
We have
Okay,
discussion.
talking about, okay.
We always have discussion.
So we take a vote on it.
So that's just where I stand. I don't know where anybody else, we're gonna have to come up with money somewhere. Even if even if everything goes as planned, we're still on track for $461,000 that we have to find. And I am not in favor of, and I said this before and I'm gonna say it again, a tax increase to do this. So we're gonna have to find efficiencies within, and we're gonna have to ask all departments to be more efficient and find efficiencies. That's just what we're gonna have to do.
Well, I will say that I've already given up a full-time position, and we're struggling to make ends meet. If you want the clerk's office to officially run and for the court office to officially run, we need to be fully staffed in our office, and we're struggling with down 2 people. And I know if you're gonna do that for everybody, I know, I'm not gonna throw you under the bus or anything, Greg, but Greg needs help.
Yeah,
He needs help
exactly.
bad. So if you're not gonna do it for me, you're not gonna do it for him. Whatever.
Do you have any ideas, Keith, on where we can come up with some of this money if we don't do this? I mean, I did send out an email a couple weeks ago asking for everybody to start thinking about that, because it's really a serious concern. It's, you know, I don't want to have to cut employees or services or contracts or anything like that, but we're gonna have to come up with funds
You say you
somewhere.
don't want to cut anything, but you just turn around and basically told Rachel no.
Yeah, it's easier to not replace an employee than to go to employees and say, I'm sorry, we're gonna have to, your position's gonna have to go. I mean, it's easier just not to replace them
It
in
may
this type
come
of
down
thing.
to that.
And it can
I
be
don't
for the
know.
temporary until we figure this out. You know, I'm not
When was
saying
the
this
last
has to
time we
be,
got a reimbursement from the state?
We just got one, the first quarter.
I'm not saying it's forever. I'm just saying we're gonna have to come up with something.
Has that already been deposited in that account?
That 159 was before. We just got it last week, so I had already
It
printed out.
includes it.
It didn't have the first quarter. There's more.
How much was that? You recall?
Right after
Just one.
40,000, wasn't it?
No, I'm talking about the reimbursement that we got this quarter.
Um, 40.
Because if we're gonna make that decision and tell Rachel no, and we're gonna put this hiring freeze on that they did 10, 15 years ago, whenever it
Yeah.
was, then we're gonna have to, or the commissioners are gonna have to tell Greg what his job is. Which parks are priority and which parks to let the grass go. There's no way we can expect Greg to take care of 2 guys' jobs of cutting and doing maintenance.
I think we're currently on the clerk's office right now, but we
Well,
can
I'm
talk.
pretty sure
we
that
can
you
talk
said
about-
that we're going to put a hiring freeze on.
I didn't say that. I said that I would suggest that that's what I would recommend.
Basically, you know,
And we can discuss that when we get to the next line item on the agenda.
and I don't see where you can,
We're going to have to come together as a council to see, because the pauper attorney is really a can of worms waiting to be
it's
opened.
amazing y'all worry so much about the proper attorney, but you know, to me, EMS is a bigger issue. Just because EMS
We
is,
have to pay the pauper attorney.
Yeah,
we have to pay for ambulance service too, Stan.
Well, you got any ideas?
actually
I
during
said
budget
we gotta
session,
come up
I
with some
recommended that.
ideas.
Well, I mean, I
I mean,
don't, you act like they're,
we only
you know,
got so much in our budget, you know, and,
During the budget session, I absolutely brought up that EMS needed to be a priority, not only the funding for ambulances, but also for the equipment. And we just went with pretty much what we did before. So, I don't know. I mean, this is a serious issue. It's something that we can continue to pretend like it's not gonna happen, but we have to find money somewhere.
yeah, we can go along until we hit to the end of the road and there's no money, and then
We're actually already at the end of the road. We've spent the entire year's budget plus another 48,000 plus
Yeah.
75,000 today. And we're 4 months in. We have 8 months to go. And we're looking at close to $500,000 needing.
Can I ask a question of council? Do you guys use LAO? Because I understand the whole budget session, the whole budget and what you have budgeted. But I think it's super important too, to look at your fund balances, the cash balances, because that's a lot that I was bringing into play. You know, that you've got your appropriation in your budget, but you've also got cash. You need to be watching your cash balances too, because we were projected to end the year with $1.4 million in budget, and we ended with over 1.5.
Mhm.
So we were right on there. So I understand that we don't wanna run everything dry, and that's not at all what I'm saying. The council puts the budget in play and we go by it, but and I think this budget session with, working with Baker Tilly will help us understand that fact that you can only raise your budget so much. And, you've got to pick and choose what areas you're gonna raise in. Doesn't mean you don't have the cash flow or the revenue to support it, but you can't do that until after you finish the previous year's annual financial report. So, I think it's a good thing for you guys. I know one of the things that I said I was going to do, and I apologize, I did not do it this time. I need to make a note, so I do it. But I know because I know it's hard for you guys to get into Lao with the VPN hookup. But I think it's important each month we look at that financial report as far as what the beginning month balance was, the revenue for each fund that month, the expenditures, the ending month balance, and where you are on that. Because I think that'll give you guys a little bit more information, because so much of it, you guys are looking at appropriation and budget. We only budgeted $150,000 for Popper. We've got this. That doesn't mean we don't have the cash to support it.
But if we want to go by State Board of Accounts that want us to have the recommended 25 to
And we were at-
35%,
We're right at
close.
25, right
We're
under 24.89%.
so we just don't want to make a habit of going backwards from that
I-
because
I
of
am,
under budgeting.
I am in Lao.
Mhm.
I was until the new service hit.
Yeah,
I just haven't had to take the time to get Anjan to help me.
yeah. But I'll,
He's available anytime, so, but
I'll email that out to you guys tomorrow. And like I said, I was gonna start including it in the reports, the monthly reports. But look at those. I think it's really gonna be good for Baker Tilly to help us look at other funds, because they're more knowledgeable of what we can spend. If there's other things that, we've got a lot of funds that have cash balances in them that are just sitting there. Is there things that we can pay out of these funds to take relief off the general, like you said? But,
And we just don't want to get in a habit of that because really, as Baker Tilly mentioned, we shouldn't be spending more than we bring in. So
we don't spend more than we bring in any fund. We don't.
we're currently doing that. So does anybody have anything else to say?
Well, to go with the election coming up,
Mhm.
can you hire someone, not for the rest of the year, but for a period of time to
Like a
take the-
temporary.
a temporary part-time person, and then if we can fund it, then
Well, if you do that, you're almost gonna have to, make it temporary, either from August, because the primary elections when
well,
right. But like
she's gonna
with
get
Greg,
hammered.
I don't know where I'm supposed to be.
I'm-
But anyway, the grass is really growing right now.
I don't
He's gonna
think
have to
that the
have-
person that Greg hires is gonna work in the courthouse. I don't think that same person could go from one to the other.
So, but anyway, have a temporary part-time people for both positions.
I do want to reiterate, because what you're saying is we're spending more than what we originally budgeted, correct?
What I'm saying is we had 150,000
And that's a budget amount. That's not a cash amount. That is
and
a budget
if we
amount.
want to eat into our cash balance, sure, but I don't want to do that.
But what I'm saying, if you add up the expenditures, the entire amount of expenditures out of general for 2023, we did not spend more than we brought in.
The numbers look like the budget's balanced, but it wasn't. So
I'm talking revenue to cash. I understand your budget, what you're talking, but as far as, we did not spend more money than we brought in. We did not. So I just want to, that's a reflection on my work.
I'm not
and so-
going backwards. I'm not willing to go backwards from what we've been saving through the years to get to the 25 to 35% threshold. I don't want to start cutting into that for things that we should have properly budgeted for to begin with. That's how I feel. So, does anybody else have anything, Paul?
I don't really, what you brought up, Gail, the temporary part-time. could we find someone to do a temporary part-time for this job?
Rachel might know. That would maybe give us some time to come up with.
I don't know if they've ever done that. Have they
It's
done
already
temporary
part-time.
positions before?
I mean, I don't understand if you're gonna make, how much part-time are you?
Did you hear what Gail
Once
said?
I get the-
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how that would work, but.
Yeah, how hard is it, would it be for temporary until we find out what was going on with the general fund?
I mean, how would that work at the end of the year, December 31st? Well, you're fired. I don't know how that, I need someone to explain it to me as an elected official. It's my budget, or it's the clerk's office budget. It's the clerk's office money. It's not affecting anybody. I guess I don't understand why it's such an issue,
Because we're gonna get a crunch on the general fund.
but I'm not pulling anything out of general right now.
No,
There's
not right now,
no,
but we
there's
may-
no insurance, they get no benefits, they get nothing.
It's not about you though, it's about the general fund in whole, and if we go down our general fund, and I don't like it. And, how we gonna get the money? We're gonna have to start because we have to pay this. And we're gonna-
Oh, I know.
and we're gonna-
And I will say, I'm gonna have a little bit more money. You guys gave me, for Ann Island, the, US Elections Live. I end up getting a 3-year contract with the state for, a grant. So there's the next 3 years, I don't have to pay for it. So there's $4,000 that I will freely give back to county general to help whatever, so I can get part-time.
This may be a bigger issue later, so. We're
Actually,
talking
it's
about it now,
$12,000
but
for
we're
the next
gonna have
3
to
years for
talk
sure.
about it a lot more in the time to come. So,
We have a motion on the floor. I think it was Keith and seconded by Gail. Is that right? Is there any more discussion? Paul, do you have anything or Erlen? Okay, if not, we'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
I'll say,
All
I'll
opposed?
say aye.
Okay, all opposed?
This
Nay.
is a bigger conversation we're gonna have to have with the general fund. It's,
So I don't know. I'm not sure. What were you?
5-1.
So we had, I was an A.
Becky's here.
Oh, she is here.
I've been
Okay.
everywhere.
Okay, if everybody's okay, we can go back to Becky Guthrie.
She probably been trying to get in the courthouse.
No,
She
I
probably
moved
didn't
to
realize
Corals, and then there was no address, and I Googled the North Annex, and they sent me to Hamilton, so I've been to Hamilton.
Well,
Everywhere.
come on up if you don't mind.
And the library, I asked them, and she said, well, I don't know where it's at either.
Okay, so you are from Ride Solutions.
Yes, I'm so sorry about
That's
it.
okay.
I was clueless where this place was. Okay, yeah, I just wanted to explain what happened at that it didn't get my appropriation asked for last year. I had planned a 2-week vacation. I was gone. My person that works for me normally goes to meetings. I did not know that Teresa had left, and I know she'd been gone 2 years, but I guess before when I emailed her, it got forwarded. And I had sent my agenda and my request to that, and it didn't come back in an email. And then Beth, my assistant, was supposed to come, and she said that she didn't remember that. And so, anyway, so somehow that all got mixed up. And then on the authorization that I had sent to Perry County, saying that if you want to keep public transportation in the county, that authorization needs to be signed at a commissioners meeting, which I'm going to go to the commissioners meeting coming up to get that signed. But I wanted to explain to you what had happened last year and to ask for if there's any way there could be an appropriation made for this year to continue the public transportation for the year. Because we do a lot of rides down here. And we also partner with SERS with their transportation also. So that's my plea. So I just wanted to explain to you what had happened, and if you could possibly look at your budget and see if there's anything at all that you could help me with.
And you're requesting $6,000.
That's
For the
what we've been getting
2024
every
budget.
year. So. The rides are steady. We got drivers down here. There's not anything. It helps a lot too. I mean, when you're going to attract people to the county, a lot of people ask if there's public transportation available. So that's a big thing, I know, in a lot of grant applications, not just for us, but I mean, I know that that's something that gets you points for, I mean, I have a lot of even apartment complexes. Anytime they're going into any area, I have to send papers in saying, yes, we will provide transportation to that apartment complex. And that gives them points to get grants for HUD housing and all that kind of stuff. So.
Well, we have a 2024 budget that was already set back in September. So in my opinion, I feel like it would be unfair for me to allow this instead of precedence. And then if someone else comes forward and says, hey, I forgot to come to the budget as well. So that's kind of how I feel about it.
Can we table this and revisit it down the road, maybe in July or August, maybe get a better grip.
June 30th, we'll have more, basically have more accurate
And get more-
halfway through.
More data and get some information.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
see, we'll have our fall or our spring settlement in.
Okay.
We'll have a better
And we can
idea.
see what all
I
returns.
think it'd be nice also to have, some numbers of how many transports you do a month or a week or whatever.
I can-
Because we've got 2 or 3 different companies,
Well,
whatever, in the county now. And I don't know, and I'm not saying that you're not, being used a lot, but we need to look at the numbers.
okay, well, one thing I think it's not clear to a lot of people is 5311 is the funding for public transportation in the state of Indiana. There's no other 5311 provider in the county at the present time. A taxi cab or SERS even though they help us out with the transportation, can't get 5311 funding. There's a giant application process and a lot of money that you have to put up to be granted a public transportation for the county. So if you lose it, you're not gonna have it. That's what I'm just saying. We are the provider for this 10-county region, Ride Solution is. So when you say I know you have a taxi cab service. This has nothing to do with the taxi cab. They don't get any funding from the state to do transportation. They're a private entity.
So do you bill insurance as well? This 6,000 is just a subsidy. So
It
how else is
goes
it
to
funded?
the match. We have to match 50% of the funds that they give us for each county.
Mhm.
We have to have local match to put up to continue the 5311. To get it from we have to apply for it every year for the grant. And we have to have match dollars and showing that there's support in the community for this funding. So if you lose it, you won't get it back because there's not any other grantee from the state that's in this area. Let me say that, because we do 10 counties in the Southwest Indiana. And so they pull all of you guys together because you're all right in a row, Warwick, Spencer, Perry, then we go up to Gibson and we go to Du Bois. So we do all of that area. So they want the public transit provider, which is Ride Solution. We do coordinated transportation services throughout that area. It enables people from Spencer County to come into Perry County. Now, if we're not doing any transportation in Perry County, then there won't be any of that traffic going back and forth or anything like that. So it's important to once you get the 5311 funding from the state, it's important to sustain it, is all I'm saying. It was a mistake on our part, my part, having no one here. A lot of times it's a line item in the budget. Sometimes I'll call up and they'll say, no, it's just our line item. We have that every year. So it's already in place. But obviously that didn't work that way this time and I didn't realize that. So the only other recourse would be is if I try to get some private entities where we go to to belly up some money, and I don't know if I can or not at this date, so, but I can try. So I would ask if you could look at your budget.
I don't wanna say no, but I can't really say yes right now. I'm gonna make a motion that we table it,
Okay,
see where the,
I'll second that.
see where funds come in, maybe a couple of months, you know, to get a little better grip on things, see where we're at, and then maybe revisit it.
okay. And then also, like I said, I'll be approaching the commissioners to get that authorization signed for next year. But somehow we need to sustain it for 2024. Okay.
So we have a motion by Paul to table this request and a second by Keith. Is there any other discussion?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Can I
Yeah.
ask a quick question?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Who do you primarily transport? Is it, I think you asked if insurance paid for,
That's Medicaid trips is.
But you do cover-
We're not a
Okay.
Medicaid provider. No,
so,
we're a public transit. It
okay,
means anybody, any income, they can go any place in this county and go to the next county if they want to.
okay, so it's not necessarily like a medical appointment?
No, absolutely not.
Exactly.
And it's $2. It's, the fees are so low, they're structured so low, so it's only $2 in town to go somewhere versus
Okay,
a taxi cab is gonna be more than $2.
got it. Thank you.
Okay, so if there's no further discussion, we'll take a vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Hey,
All opposed? Okay, motion passes 6-0.
Okay.
Thank you.
Revisit it.
Okay, I hope so. Thank you very much. I'm sorry I'm late, but
That's okay. It happens.
it happens, it did happen, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next is Greg Hendershot, Parks and Rec, full-time assistant. Hi there.
I hope you got good news.
I got good news.
I hope you do.
Me?
Yes. I need to hire someone.
Oh.
I don't have an assistant anymore.
Yeah, I'm probably in the same situation that I mentioned as the clerk in rehiring for her position. And I was thinking maybe what we could do is if you have a lot of grass mowing right now, obviously. If you would have needs outside of that, like your maintenance needs for the smaller things, whatever things come in, if we could look at, or maybe work with the commissioners and see about outsourcing some of that stuff, it would still be cheaper than a full-time employee with pension and insurance benefits.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't agree with that either.
No, I don't think so at all.
Can you get us
If
some-
plumber, electrician.
No, I don't keep those records. I can't get you that stuff. Only thing I'm saying is the grass is growing,
Mhm.
the weeds are growing, things are breaking. When I agreed to take the maintenance duties,
Mhm.
I was asking for a full-time position just for Parks and Rec. I kept getting turned down. So then I agreed and I took on these maintenance duties for the county to help you guys out.
Mhm.
And you agreed to bring me up a full-time place.
Was it part-time for a while?
It was
And
part-time for a while.
Then it went to-
Then that was just with Parks and Rec.
Seasonal for a while.
That's what I thought. I remembered it was.
So then I took on more duties, then got a full-time position. So I don't think it's fair for you to cut that now. If you're gonna cut it, then take away put the maintenance duties back to wherever you want to put them.
I think it's something to talk about because a full-time, again, I'll just go back to the situation we're in. It's the same for this as it is everything else. Any new positions that need to be replaced, we're in a really bad situation with our
Okay,
proper
well,
attorney.
just put me back with just Parks and Rec then.
No, I'd rather make a motion to, hire your, full-time employee back.
I think that would be the wise thing to do.
There's no way it's gonna be more cost effective to hire whatever maintenance, that you're doing. You don't wanna get real crazy about elaborating what you're doing to where people's gonna say you don't have.
Do you have a list of those things that are,
We got
that you
to
take
take
care
care of his parts and stuff. So
Any
Absolutely.
plumbing stuff in that jail, I take care of
We want
any
people
of
to
it,
come here.
unless I don't have
County.
the equipment or the expertise to do it.
Okay.
The jail is probably 75% of my work orders, and then the courthouse, because they're both older buildings. Up at my place, I don't have much up there.
well, it would be the same thing as what I said to the clerk. It would just be a temporary thing until we work through this
Okay, then
budget
who,
fiasco.
if you don't want to give anybody now, I'm not, these last two pay periods, while I was waiting to get here and waiting for things to settle down, I put in 95 hours, about 95 hours on one pay period, 110 on the next. I'm not gonna keep doing that.
I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it.
I'm not.
No way.
I can't.
No way can we afford to pay you the comp time.
Could you get by with a part-time
No,
employee?
I would have part-time with just Parks and Rec.
I'll stick by my
I
motion.
took on, when they got rid of,
We hire a full-time for,
Sorry.
when they got rid of Ellis Howard, I took on the maintenance duties. And I'll be honest with you, I thought I would be doing what he was doing. He never visited the county jail and did maintenance work. I got it all the county buildings, all the mowing. He wasn't doing all that.
Opening and closing the park.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
I can't do without this. If you try to do without it, I'm gonna need a phone number of somebody in this council that people can start calling. Because people's gonna start bitching. They're gonna want things fixed. The courthouse is gonna start looking like crap.
well, what you need to do
Yeah,
is,
you just,
what you need to do is
No,
focus
I
on.
absolutely understand.
2 full
And
days.
If I would have had the budget.
2 full days,
Budgeted properly, then we wouldn't be in this.
2 full days with an assistant to mow everything. 2 full days. That gives me 3 days to do the maintenance for all these buildings.
Mhm.
And I still have to spray weeds at every location, parks and for the county.
Like I said.
In that time.
Yeah. I look at it, this is part of a bigger problem right now.
No, it's not, it's already
No,
budgeted.
no, wait a minute, just listen to me. It's part of a bigger problem with our general fund getting, low. We may have to just go along and do the full time, hire. But then we're gonna have to come together as a council, because if we run really, really short, we're gonna have to make some hard decisions later on.
Well, this has been working
You know,
fine for all this
Yeah, I
time.
know,
What's happened?
but,
It's
things that
it's
hit
not
us,
your
like,
department. It's there's
recently,
just
so.
budget issues. It's nothing you've done. I mean, you've done a great job. It's
Yeah.
nothing against you, Greg.
What
This
Greg's
is-
saying too, I think, if he has to outsource this, it's gonna cost us a lot more than what it would be to hire someone full-time. And plus, if he's got a full-time person, things will get done in a timely manner, which if you outsource it, they may not get to you for a week or two or a month.
Well, I'm still waiting on that valve there behind the courthouse, that big shut-off valve for the sprinkler system. It needs to be replaced. This has been going on for about 2 weeks. I'm waiting to get word back from the plumber on how that's gonna be fixed.
I know we can't really afford it, but we can't afford not to have a full-time person.
We have a motion on the floor to
I'll second it.
hire a full-time employee from Keith and second by Paul. Any more discussion?
Well, like I said, it's a bigger problem, and I've looked at this and hearing from Greg, and I think we should continue going and letting him have the full-time assistant, but we're going to have to come together as a council to find out the general fund. I mean, we may have to do a hiring freeze, and we don't even have that yet. And we would have to vote on that, so.
I agree. I don't think now's the time to cut him.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. A nay. So motion passes 5-1.
Who was the second?
Paul.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Greg.
Okay, next up is Tara Lucas, Healthy Indiana First.
It's actually Health First Indiana, but I just have
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. I don't need to ask for any money. I don't need anything. I just try to err on the side of kind of keeping everybody informed, whether it's council, commissioner, health board, all of that. So in our current 2024 HFI budget that you guys approved, we had a contract with the hospital that covered certain educational components. I am approaching have approached the health board, have approached the hospital, we'll be approaching commissioners about just adding a little caveat to that to include CPR and AED training for the community. Maybe CNA students, maybe other community members who would want to be trained, we would like to cover that cost. So in case you got something, you saw something come across, I want to make sure that everybody was aware. Right now, I don't need any additional appropriation into that fund, but I felt that it was appropriate to just at least make you aware of that.
On your original request with the hospital, did you have the commissioners sign anything on that?
You're talking about
With
the
the
contract?
contract,
Yeah, so with that contract, the commissioners were aware of the contract, and then I worked very closely with the county attorney to get that contract approved. Kelly called today, and I don't know where Chris went, but we've talked about this before too.
Yeah, I went out and saw the IC code. And
Yeah,
it
so, and
yeah.
again, to my knowledge,
Yeah.
there was like a Senate Bill 1158, I think that there are changes coming July 1st where the commissioners could make an official change or process for who can sign grants. I did get, whenever I talked to Chris, I did let her know that, talk to the health board, they support it. The county attorney was very heavily involved in all of those contract processes, as well as, he pretty much wrote the contract or approved it. So.
But you are gonna take it to them,
Yes.
I think, on.
I
Yeah,
would like-
especially with there being an addendum.
I'd like to make a motion to approve it, contingent on the
Sure.
commissioners saying it's okay. I'm sure it's gonna be okay. I mean, it's good, but, I try to play by the rules.
We do
So-
too, which is why, I think it was kind of like, why are you coming if you don't need money?
Yeah.
Well, eventually I might. And I feel
Yeah.
like it's better to keep everybody informed as we move on because this is a very fluid budget and things are changing often. 2024 was a, planning year. Things are gonna look different in 2025. So I feel like you want to know where your money is being spent. I feel like.
And I think if there's new opportunities to partner, we want to hear them. If you have
Yeah,
ideas
Yeah.
and things like that, always be sure to bring them forward.
it's good. I mean,
I'm supportive of that. I think the more people we can have CPR trained, first aid and AED trained, the better. So, Stan made a motion,
I'll second
okay, second by,
Thank you.
Gail. Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, I don't know what he made motion on.
Just
it.
to,
What was his motion?
To provide training, CPR and AED.
to allow that to be an allowable expense within the budget, like a line item, right? Is that what your motion is, Stan? I guess I should
Yeah,
ask.
whatever's in, the paper, you got,
Okay, so
she wants to add the Red Cross education courses to the existing contract.
with Perry County Memorial Hospital,
I just want it to be an allowable.
to be an allowable
expense.
expense, yes,
That's all.
within her current budget that she has for right now. So,
Yeah.
second by Gail, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Thank you. Next up is Eric Dickinson, ICJI Traffic Safety Grant.
Very good, ready to have a seat there. Yes, go up here, wherever you want.
Good evening, everyone. I sent a couple emails between the last council meeting and then this council meeting to give you an idea of what the traffic safety grant was all about and some concerns, I'm sure, with as it applies to what kind of impact it would have. And I sought Sheriff Malone's permission to come before you to ask permission to apply for it, and also if you would allow us to use the inmate housing fund for the impact in terms of the matching side of it. That would be
And that would be the 8625.
yes, ma'am.
Now, there was something on here you said about you were looking into extra duty mileage.
So
Did you, I
that's-
didn't see anything else. Did you send something?
Yeah, on there's a letter that I had sent by email that provided, I've got one copy of it here. I'll get you the copy.
It's okay.
And,
If you just want to tell us about it, that's fine.
Sure. So we reached out to CNS and asked them for some consumption data. And they looked at the last 3 years. And the pump prices sometimes are unpredictable, but we can see the gallons that were consumed and then what that total cost was at the end of the year based on the pump prices went up and down.
Mhm.
2021 was a traffic safety grant year, part of 2022, but we did not participate in 2023. So that kind of gives you an idea of what the impact was on the gallons. 2022 was about 2/3 of the year because their fiscal year runs from October 1 to September 30th. So of 2022, we ran the traffic safety grant from January 1 to September 30th. So that kind of gives you an idea of the gallons consumed there. One of the big pushes for this is the number of fatalities that we are investigating have doubled from 2022 to 2023. And we believe between education and enforcement, that's what the sheriff's office can provide to try to address those. We had 6 fatalities in 2023. 2022, we had 3. And if you go back to 2021, we had 1. So we're seeing an increase, and it's not an increase that we like. It's a tragic events that affect a lot of people's lives, families, friends, coworkers, loved ones. So we stand with NHTSA, and they said that this comprehensive highway injury reduction program supports traffic safety projects that are proven to reduce fatalities and severe injuries and crashes. We believe that, and they've gathered the data and the stats. Some of the things that we look at are alcohol impaired crashes, and we look at speed related crashes. And there's one other category that wasn't listed in the letter, but we look at occupant safety, belt usage. Those are things between enforcement and education that if we can reduce speed, if we can have a DUI task force where we saturate an area to try to reduce alcohol impaired driving, that we believe that there's going to have positive results. In 2023, we didn't participate in it. And those fatalities doubled. Was it a coincidence? I don't know. I don't know. But we have to do something. And we think that this is certainly a way to get it done.
Was this called something else before? I feel like I found it.
Operation Pullover,
Okay,
that
Yeah.
we would probably recognize it as
there were a
that.
couple years ago. Was that what it was called a couple years ago?
And
'Cause
then,
I was looking through the
Say
minutes.
something. Wasn't it say
Say-
something?
Yeah, because I found minutes where, and I was reviewing, and I thought it looked the same, so they just changed the name. It's pretty
Yeah,
much the
so-
same thing.
So SAVE falls under the umbrella of the Comprehensive Highway Injury Reduction Program. They call it the CHIRP grant now.
Yeah.
So OPO, I think my understanding is CHIRP has replaced OPO. SAVE falls under that. So
Okay.
we would use a portion of the funding for the stop arm violation enforcement that we've done in the past. Some of the enforcement would be towards the DUI task force, and the other would be towards aggressive driving, hands-free device usage, safety belt usage, and speed. Those are the things that we would be looking for during those blitz times.
Does anybody have any questions for Eric or?
I make a
Not-
motion that we allow them to, because this also feeds into other programs.
There's some money set aside for educational, and I had the opportunity just earlier this week to participate in the prom. That's something that we could utilize some of these funds for more projects like that. The Indiana Sheriff's Association has a seatbelt condenser. We've used it at National Night Out before, setting something up like that at the 4-H fairgrounds. So we want to do some education as well. It's not always all about enforcement.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the request from Keith, second by Stan. Any more discussion? The only thing I was wondering is if we could use to get this match, this 8625 that you were gonna pay out of inmate housing, would it be possible to look at, commissary for that? Just in case we have any issues where we need jail operations money from the inmate housing?
I don't think that would be one I could use for like.
Just for this 8625 that you're needing, that you were gonna take out of inmate housing, I was just wondering if you could potentially take it out of commissary
I'm not
instead.
sure that'd be allowable. I'm not sure that'd be allowable.
I think it's pretty broad, but I didn't know. It is something you could look into.
Our commissary is down, simply because, we bought a vehicle, they don't have that built up yet. I mean, it's something we might look at right now. I don't know that would be.
Well, if you can consider it at the time, whenever it's ready, then I'd appreciate it. So,
And not to interject, but
Yeah.
this would start October 1st. So the first 3 months would be on this budget cycle. The 2/3 of it would come out of then next year's budget too. So we're looking at like a third versus 2/3. So maybe that's something we can look at for the 2025 portion of the grant.
okay. If there's nothing else, no other discussion, then we'll take a vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Thank you. Okay, next is approval of minutes from 3/28/24, and whoever did those, they were like 7 or 8 pages, so they did a good job. Really good job. I appreciate whoever did those. Okay, they were very detailed and I like that, so I really
Lisa
appreciate it.
Eckers in my office.
She's the one that does those?
Yes.
Okay,
She's
well,
been
praise
doing-
to her because,
She's been helping me out a lot. We're in the middle of an audit again. I don't know
Yeah.
if anybody's heard, and there's just some other things. So it's just something that she's been assisting me with lately.
I'm
And she's
just really
doing a very good
impressed with
job.
them
Very
because
good job.
when I read them, it's like it all comes right back.
Yeah.
You know,
Who
I'm
did you
like,
say
yeah.
it was? Lisa Eckers.
Okay, well, if nobody has any changes or,
Make a motion to
okay, go
approve
ahead.
them.
Motion made by Paul to approve the minutes from 3/28, second by Gail. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 6-0.
Before we move on to my stuff, I just wanna give you guys some information, and tomorrow I will send out more. But just in this discussion, just because I know the public listens to these things, and also I want you guys to be aware. Thankful to the health department, we're able to get on Lao here, and I didn't have my laptop. But I just kind of wanted to let you guys know, because, and once we get through half of 2024 in June, I'll have this information for you guys again, because you kind of need to look at things, because we'll be getting the spring settlement in. That's one of the reasons that the auditor works so hard to make sure that settlement's done in a timely manner, because there's so many things that are expended and before we get that money. But so and when you're looking at funds, you kind of need to look at month to month, but you also need to look in quarters, you need to look in halves, and then you need to look annually.
Is this what you're gonna provide us, start providing us?
For each fund, okay? The big thing is, I just want to point out, which I completely understand what Kelly Harding is talking about as far as budget. We are doing additional appropriations, which is basically adding money to our budget, okay? We have to understand there's a cash balance too, revenue to expenditures, you also need to look at too, to where we're not cutting into our cash balance. We did not cut into our cash balance in 2023, nor did we in 2022, okay? So if you look here, we receipted in 2023, $7,038,455.73. So that's money just brought in 2023. We expended $6,662,048.61. Your revenue is more than your expenditures. We ended with a cash balance of $1,616,540.84.
2023.
2023. We were projected in June to end around 1.4. I don't remember the exact amount, but I remember we said that number a lot in June. I kept telling you guys, we will end at 1.4 or greater, and we did. So I just want you guys to understand that you guys can discuss this and whatever budget you guys put into play. And I think working with Baker Tilly, will, if we do that, will explain, you're limited on the amounts you can raise your budget from year to year. It's not like the private sector where you can just come in and you want to budget every penny. You have this much that you can do until after you get your annual financial report done. And just because the council approves additional appropriations doesn't mean that it's approved. The Department of Local Government Finance has to approve it too. So once you guys approve it, then I submit it to them, and they approve it based off of our information that we submitted in our annual financial report, our estimated revenue that we're supposed to bring in, and our current budget that we have. So there's a lot of things in the factor, but I just wanted to make sure and show you paper-wise on black and white, we did not spend more than we brought in.
Next on the agenda is Auditor Hammock. General Fund Commissioners Consulting Services.
This is for you guys, we discussed this at the last meeting, to pay our Wagner, Irwin, and Shiley bill out of general. We had already used all of the money that was originally appropriated for consulting in general. So this is the additional appropriation for that.
Is this the last bill from them?
Well, I actually just had a meeting with them yesterday, and I actually spoke with Lori. There's some questions we've been having, and there are some things coming that I'm getting ready to have a meeting with our personnel policy, because there's some salary change caps and changes getting ready to change in July. And then they've already let out some new Fair Labor Standard Act information that's changing January 1 of 2025. So I kind of hate for us to just make these small changes for July and then turn around and have to change them again. So I got some information from them, and the Personnel Policy Committee had some questions that we wanted to ask with them before we move forward with all this vacation change and stuff. So I did speak with them though, and they were fully understanding that we are supposed to be billed quarterly. And I reminded Lori again yesterday when I had that consult with her. I spoke with her too.
And they did remove the 2022 charges.
Yeah. Okay. This is just the 2023 charges.
So I'll entertain a motion
So moved.
to approve the $1,377.50.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Paul, seconded by Stan. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, and the next one, Chris, is Riverboat Commissioners Consulting Service.
Yes, I know we had discussed this at the last meeting as well. And you guys asked for all of these consulting bills to be paid out of Riverboat. So this will bring us up current with all current invoices that I have.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Motion to approve by Paul,
Second.
second by Erla. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
How many,
Oh, sorry.
how much money do we have in that riverboat now? Do you know?
I just looked at that. I think we're at like 168, 148, 168.
I have it printed off. I didn't bring it.
I think it's there. I'll email that to you guys tomorrow.
Like I said, I'm not on
Yeah.
that file now, so.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna print that out and
Okay.
And anytime you guys want anything, just pop me an email. It's easy for me to upload or, get on it, download it and email it to you. Probably quicker
It
than
takes
you getting
forever
into
for
that.
my
Yes.
computer
Stop
to
in to see you too.
Yeah.
bring in Lyle.
Yeah.
I mean, but it gets there,
Just slow.
yeah.
So we have a motion made by Paul, a second by Erla. There's no further discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. 6-0,
5-0.
501, 501, or
I'll say 501.
501. Okay, and then we have the addition of the Fund 8961, transfer additional appropriation for pauper attorney fees. Did you want to talk about that?
Sure. I wanted to have kind of a little discussion about this. So I know I met with each of you because I did not want to wait till the April meeting. So I met with you guys, either individually or in small groups, to kind of let you guys know that, explaining just a little bit, last year's February, March are completely different than this year's February, March. I was completely green. And my staff was young, and I leaned on a lot of other auditors and the State Board of Accounts. And prior to the creation of this fund for the reimbursement for the pauper attorney, it was being put in general. And I can't exactly tell you how, but I'm sure I contacted one of my auditor friends and was like, where do I put this? And they're like, well, you either put it in general or you put it in one of your fund for reimbursement. So apparently, what you guys wanted me to do in March of 2024, I actually started doing in March of 2023. So the money that you thought was in general was actually sitting in a little pot. There was no expenditures out of it, nothing, anything. So it was just like a Christmas in April for us. It helps, yes. So last year, you were right, that does include that 48. There is, with last year's reimbursement and our we got that in January, so that would have been Q4.
It'd been December 31st.
You haven't received first quarter yet.
We haven't received Q1 yet. The Q1 is not on this because I printed this out 4/3 and we just got it last week. Does that make sense?
Yeah, are you sure?
Okay, I think so. This is January. Yeah, that 48 was what we got in January for the Q4 of 2023.
Oh, the charges.
Yes.
Yeah, the charges. I thought you were talking about reimbursements.
No, yeah. So, no reimbursement, the
That's what she did mean, was reimbursement.
Q4 reimbursement
The 48,000.
is January, the Q4 of 2023. So in all, for Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4 of 2023, we were reimbursed $146,918.15 for pauper public defender. And then we also we keep those separate for the juvenile, and then we had $5,637.82 for juvenile. So basically, to put in the fund, we've got about $150,000 here. That was thought to be in general, but was in this fund that I created in March. I sent you guys a request from Judge Lucy that I received on 4/18, which was right after I had put together the agenda. And I was trying to think this through because basically they're needing $75,000 to pay current bills.
Through probably now?
Yes.
Or whatever.
She was doing ahead, so it would be April and May. She said they were averaging, because we were paid up
Through
March. And she said that they were averaging between 30 and 35,000 a year or a month. So we still will owe, she's told me the cases she's got, but she actually said this will take her through June. So she must know what cases she has. Because she said this 75 would get her through June. And Kim listed off all these cases.
But we don't have the current bills through June, so.
But I guess she's
estimating that this might carry us or.
Yeah. So my question is, in thinking this, and I want to talk it through with you guys, and I don't want to take too much of your time, but I want to make sure we're on the same page. Currently, right now, we pay all of the pauper expenditures out of general, okay? But we've got this $150,000 sitting over here in Fund 8961. So personally, I think we shouldn't expend from this account. Just because if we start expending from multiple accounts, you're not going to have a clear view unless you look at both of them. Because fund reporting is completely different than like your personal checkbook or whatever with an in and an out. So if we have it all coming out of 1,000, then when I run a 1,000 expenditure report, you're going to see all of them. But if we're paying some of it out of 1,000 and then some of it out of 8961, we can do that. We're just gonna have to remember to run an expenditure report on both those funds if we want to find out exactly what we're spending. So what I was kind of thinking is to make things kind of clean is that whenever we want to use this 8961 to put the reimbursement in, but to transfer it, do a cash transfer, not appropriation, can't transfer, a cash transfer. So move 75,000 cash out of 8961, put it in 1,000, and then pay it out of there. So it's not really coming out of your general cash. But here's the other side of that. Just like I gave you guys these numbers, it's gonna offset, it's gonna be a wash, but it's gonna show more income into general than you are. So I'm kind of torn.
Is it already doing that? Is that why that looks a little higher?
No, because we don't have any.
Because you know how we have a 200,000, or like around a $200,000 difference, and this is
We've been doing all of our
This is
additional
150.
appropriations out of general. So that's coming.
Did you by chance talk to Jason or Paige at Baker Tilly about this?
Not yet. No, because there's really nothing. They're not gonna,
What our options are as far as paying that?
it's just our bookkeeping, it's not really anything.
I like it to look
Clean as
smooth
possible.
from one account, so we don't have to remember, oh, I got some from over here, some from over here.
But
But
then I'm
whatever-
so torn because I look at it both ways because we do it with public safety right now for the ambulance. We pay 60 out of public safety, 60,000, and we pay 215 out of general. I know I have to pull those two reports, but I know how much we budget for each of those. So I was kind of like, I don't really know I don't think there's a right way or I don't think there's a wrong way. It's just, I want us to all kind of,
which is this,
Which way?
The way
I
it's
mean,
smooth.
You're the keeper of the books,
Yeah.
and to me, it's whatever is best for you.
And pay it out of that then.
I was originally thinking that, but I think it's gonna construe our receipt numbers for general, and I don't want to do that. I mean, they'll offset,
Yeah.
but I almost was thinking the opposite direction.
I wonder if we could, do a tentative approval, talking to Baker Tilly, which way they recommend doing it. And this is where they could really help us.
Yeah.
Things like this.
There's nothing, it's not like asking permission or anything to do it, just which is the best way.
Pros and cons.
And
what the
yeah,
plans
and
are
I
to do.
see it both
or
ways.
State Board of Accounts, maybe they have a recommendation.
Yeah.
And that would be free. So
Yeah, State Board of Accounts would be free.
instead of Baker Tilly.
And I have an auditor in my office right now. So this is gonna be on the agenda for May. I just kind of wanted to give you guys a little bit of discussion where we can actually kind of, make sure we're all on the page of 8961. I'll make sure I pull a cash balance report on that, tomorrow and make sure,
If there is 146,000 in there, I mean, we're on pace to use way more than that. So I don't know if the judge would be interested in just bringing it all
bringing
over.
it all over.
Because instead of just, because by the time we get to this in May, we don't know what it might look like, and she might need
Well,
more.
it's gonna be more than 150.
Yeah, right.
6,000 in
So we
there.
might, I mean,
When you look at it tomorrow.
When I look at tomorrow, there'll be another deposit in there, yeah.
I just wondered if she might be interested in
Just moving
bringing
all
over.
Here's the other thing too, just like we have that public safety that in our book, we can add this fund to our budget book. You know what I'm saying? Where,
I think we need to watch it.
yeah, and that definitely include this to where, hey, like we might have to pay 150 out of,
Additional above what we have.
150 out of general and budget 150 out of general for Popper and then budget 150 out of 8961, which is kind of like a we just use the reimbursement that we get as we go. So, basically this kind of puts it to where, we've got two line items for Popper, two funds for Popper attorney. So, I'll reach out. Please, I'll go ahead and forward information that I get from Baker Tilly and the State Board of Accounts, or I'll probably start with State Board of Accounts first. I'll forward that on to you. Just kind of let me know that you've read it. Just say I love it when I know just some kind of where you know that you got it, and then we can talk about it in May. Because this will have to be paid. I've already kind of talked with Kim Myers and Lucy as far as the schedule, because the way this works is April and May's won't be paid until the first meeting in June of the commissioners. So we're kind of on track so this will have to be decided whether we do an additional out of 8961 or we do an additional out of a transfer and additional out of 1,000. It'll have to be done at the next meeting. Because like I said, April will already be late.
So I know you need 10 days for the additional. So
10 days.
if we get closer to that time and it looks like they need more, they can just request more to come over at that
Yeah.
time. So
Yeah,
They
they've
can
got a
look at it then.
calendar of when it's due. So I'll stay in communication with the courts and make sure we're good.
I don't think it needs
I
any
just wanted a
action.
discussion. I just didn't want to wait till May, and I just kind of
I
wanted,
didn't know if it was a formal request or what.
No, because it hasn't been advertised or anything.
Yep.
So. Next is Baker Tilly scope for assistance with 2025 budget.
okay, so I kind of sent out an email, and I had a phone conversation with Paige and Jason, and they resent out another email. We kind of making sure we understand this, and they kissed it for me. So you have Plan A, which is your full comprehensive plan for 2025, okay? And that is $35,000, okay?
35,
Was it 35?
not to exceed 30. Is that right?
What?
Am I looking at the wrong one?
Oh my gosh, am I getting my
Well,
number?
on 4.3, it says not to exceed 30 for section
No, hold on.
Plan A is 30,000,
Oh my
Plan B.
God, not to, sorry, 30, you're right, sorry, 30. I got her down, see, it was 35 originally. Okay, so, not to exceed 30, okay, so that's for 2025. Then, section B is if we continue like in 2026, we want them to kind of revise it again, want to do it as an annual thing. So the first year, which is, basically a lot more work, looking back on several years and getting things together, that's why it's 30. Then if we choose to go with them, which I really don't know if we'll need to, I mean, who knows? I think if maybe it's kind of like with me with the annual financial report, once you get one good year under you and maybe get a more feel for it, but that's basically if we choose to continue using them after 2025 on an annual basis, it would be $20,000 a year. Section C is basically for services outside of the comprehensive plan, which basically what they explained to us is like if we wanted that, you guys wanted them to meet with the departments one-on-one, that's going to be billed on an hourly basis. If you say, hey, can you refigure this, after the comprehensive plan that they've given you, and you want them to look at something a little different or analyze something differently. Anything on top of any additional work on top of the comprehensive plan will be billed at an hourly rate, but she put a cap on that of $12,000. So basically, they would not bill us more than $12,000. They would not allow us to go over the need of $12,000 if we would need that. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
They would say, hey, you're at your limit. They cut us off.
Hopefully not, but
Which I feel that more than likely you guys are gonna be doing the department head meetings. I don't foresee us needing much more than the comprehensive plan to get us a start. Jason actually called me today.
Jason did.
Yeah, and I said, we've got our meeting tonight, because he was in town last night. And I was planning on making it, but I didn't get down here for it.
so where would we propose to get this funding? Do I have any ideas?
When they were in town, and Jason Pager, so much ago about proposal, they could use Whitney County, that's a handout he gave us, of what Whitney County does.
Yes.
I wonder if we talk to some of the counties that they use and see how they.
They use so many, they're wide.
They do a job,
Yes.
I mean, I know it's $30,000 or whatever, but yeah, they might save us $200,000 or $300,000. I don't know, that's just, they may come back and say, hey, you guys did a good job. There's not much other room to work with here. You don't
They're
know.
widely used,
Okay.
Indiana-wide consulting. There's a lot of counties that, yeah, I mean,
Well,
they do a lot of work for a lot of counties.
it makes sense with the turnover of council and auditors and others, to have that consistency.
I didn't want to say that real loud, Sandra, but a lot of
It's
counties
true.
use them fully, like they pay
Yeah.
them big pennies and they do all of it. Yeah,
They do the council's job totally.
they do a lot of they do a lot of budget preparations for counties, yeah, where like it pretty much takes everything off. Yeah,
Everything's so vastly complicated anymore as far as, what you can use, what's restricted, unrestricted, what you can do.
it changes so much too.
Yeah.
Just like this Fair Labor Standard,
They deal every day with it.
we're dealing with the change it's gonna be changed in July, and then it's turn around and we already know it's gonna get changed again in January. So why would you go ahead and, why would you change it for 3 months and then turn around and change it again
Yeah,
6 months down the road?
I think it's a good thing. I think that I'm sure that they can help us find inefficiencies and things that we're doing that we can do better and have improvements and help streamline things, and which we need that. And I agree with Paul that the initial investment seems pretty stout to me, but I think it'll save us a lot more in the long run.
Like an investment.
Yeah, I think it'll save us a lot more in the long run, especially, one wrong decision could cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars. So, I'm just curious, I struggle because of the way our budget is right now and where we're gonna find money for this. So I don't know if you have suggestions or anybody has.
We've pretty much depleted tribal, of course.
Yeah.
But couldn't we take it out of Riverboat?
Riverboat, Riverboat, I really,
well, you might as well take it out of there because we can't,
yeah,
until it's depleted,
and we're still getting money in
Yeah,
on it,
still
yeah,
getting
twice a
some.
year, so, yeah.
I'm all in favor of it, just how we gonna fund it. It's just about.
So the first year, it's up to 30,000 not to exceed, and then the 12,000 not to exceed.
Mhm.
We're not looking at the additional 20,000.
No.
So 30,000.
Are we gonna are we gonna have them go talk, we gonna use section C?
They do not, okay, so I did ask them that. They regularly do not meet with department heads. Typically, the councils do that, have that personal feeling with them. If they needed to, they basically said if they needed to, if there's someone that you really needed them to personally dive in with their budget on them, they could, but they're basically gonna give you a lot of the information, and then you go meet with the department heads and kind of, go through it, on that end with them.
Well, do we wanna maybe wait till David's next meeting, have full house, and then we gotta move
No,
on?
we gotta move.
Well, I think without a doubt, I think we need to go with section A. I don't
Probably
think
we
we
need two
need to go with.
motions, one to approve it, and then a motion how to fund it.
Yeah, Jason's like, we need to get moving, cause it's May, we wanna them to have a lot of this
so we can make one
information.
motion and fund it out of,
We can say what the motion, we can make a motion to fund it out of river. I make a motion that we do
Just go with.
go with, just with the A,
Section A, yeah.
not with any of the rest,
Go with A.
just the A for right now and pay for it out of Riverboat. That's my
We'll
motion.
do it all one motion.
So we have a motion
I'll
from
second
Keith
that.
to contract, or is this a contract?
It'll be an agreement, yes.
So is this something that has to be
Yeah,
through the
we've got it.
commissioner?
Let me think, hold on.
Because it is if it's a contract.
It's, what did they give me? Cause I'll probably have to take it, let's see. I know we had to come to you guys first for the funding, and then it will have to, cause it is
Probably a contract, yeah.
comprehensive financial plan with, the scope,
Actually, they need to
and
do it
it's an agreement,
I
so.
don't think that the commissioners would have to approve it, but maybe we
Yeah,
will.
I think all
if it's a
contracts.
contract, commissioners have to approve it.
Yeah. So
It's in
then,
the statutes.
But they meet May 6th.
May 6th is our next one, yeah. So, but it's important that we do it in order, it's get the funding in line first before,
Yeah, we've been down
Yeah.
that road, haven't we?
yeah. So, yeah.
I'll second Keith's motion.
So the motion is to go with section A. And I
I'll make
guess,
it for not to.
I think section A, I think without a doubt, it's something that, I don't know if
I
and
think it'll
when,
save money in the long run.
Yes.
if and when anybody's ever paid a outside firm to come in and help with the budget. And, you know, maybe we're not missing anything, maybe we're missing a lot.
Okay, so motion by Keith, second by Paul, to go with section A for Baker Tilly, and then Chris will present it.
To the council. on the
Technically, we're
6th.
backwards, but present it to the commissioner, see if they'll sign it.
Yeah, the contract, but I can take to them funding, because it's like we literally been going in circles, because then they would have said, well, we'll table this until the council says where the funding is. Now I can say they've got the funding in line. Yeah,
And it would be from Riverboat,
Riverboat.
this motion, right? That's where you're
Mhm.
recommending. Okay. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0. Thanks, Chris. Next is approval of TIP management annual report from redevelopment commission.
Baker Tilly actually does this, for our redevelopment. And there is no signature needed. I spoke with both John Shear and Jason Stemler. This report, I worked with, basically I get all the information to Baker Tilly, run all the reports, send it to them, and they put this all together, for the redevelopment. It was actually due April 15th. He said that, I just had to submit it on Gateway, but the council actually had to have a reading of it. So, that's why it's here. So for you guys to review the, TIF management annual report for the redevelopment.
Is there anything in particular we have to read from this? I mean, just, I'm used to getting this from the redevelopment. It's in this form and it's much easier.
He said just a review, like you just had to review it. It had to be had to be documented in our meeting minutes that, you guys had seen it.
Have our blessing.
Yes.
And you have this on digital form?
Yes,
And
and
you
I will
can send
send
this to everyone?
Yes.
Okay, that'd be great, because I got
Yeah.
this from a redevelopment member, because I wanted to look through
Yes.
it. It's easier to understand on this. So,
All is good. Just an approval or I don't know. I don't think we need any motion or anything.
that's what I was thinking.
Basically, just in the minutes that you guys have all been provided with this. So that's that.
Okay. Next on the agenda is ordinance for applying for grants, but
Rod's not,
finished with it, I don't
No.
think. So,
I know Rod's working on that, and I didn't know till I had sent this
It's okay.
agenda that he wasn't gonna be here. He emailed me. So, yeah, so that can be
You know, something
tabled.
while we're on this, something that, since we got Rod's attention, I think that we need to, come up with a ordinance, resolution, whatever, for something we've talked about for at least 2 years. And that's when people get prices.
bids to lower the threshold from the state's
From,
50,000.
yeah, to buy, you know, whatever everybody wants to make it. If you wanna make it 5,000, you make it 10,000.
I agree.
You know,
Just new
if he's-
guidelines or
If he's,
parameters.
you know, doing paperwork for us,
I think 5,000 is a good
I mean,
amount.
we beat that dog to
Yeah,
death.
you get time to do it then now.
You know, the state sets it at 50,000 because for some communities, that is 5,000. You know, it's
And, you know, for the
same
state,
equivalence.
that's, you know, no big
What it
deal.
is for us, you know, 5,000 is a lot,
You
a
can always
bigger
type
deal.
it. Yeah.
But I
Yeah, we
think
can
that
always
he
be more
needs
strict.
to write up or whatever resolution ordinance.
I think there's a
That's my
lot of,
thought.
I agree. There's a lot of, I know I'm butting in here from it, but I just want to let everybody know. I know that, some of you were at the district meeting, but there's a lot of things that I think we just need to basically get some plan of action on. Starting in July of this year, we will have to start, each county has to start uploading every contract into Gateway.
Mhm.
And it has to, from the date that it was signed, it has to be uploaded within 10 days. So, you know, the state sets that guideline, you know, of course, one of those things, what are they gonna do to you if you don't do it in 10 days, you know?
Let's all find out.
Yeah, but I think like I wanna have a plan of action where, you know, if it's signed and then it has to, you know, cause a lot of our stuff, the departments have to get signatures, or we have to get signatures from other entities and whatever, to where like it's in the auditor's office within 5 days of being signed, or even 7 days of being signed, because it's been discussed in the auditor's thread. You know, what happens if we don't get it till the 10th day
Yeah.
and we're gone, you know? And then that's a finding in the audit against us. So those are some things that I think that, you know, it's good for us to have some resolutions, ordinance, and plan to say, okay, the state requires this. At the county level, we're requiring it be in the auditors by here. The talk is, you know, the grants, you know, right now I have to upload all these approval letters and all this stuff when I do the annual financial report. I'm told that's coming to where you're gonna have to upload those as you go into Gateway. So much more of this is becoming more of the day-to-day monthly work instead of so much at the end of the year with the annual financial report. So I think that, you know, putting some of these resolutions and ordinances into play to organize things, especially
Just makes
with
it a
that.
smoother process
Yeah.
for everybody. And then, about that, the grants, are those considered contracts, some of them too? So you'll
That's
put them in
some of them,
two
yeah.
places probably? Okay, so we don't have anything on that, so
I've
the
got a
next,
question on the grant.
Yeah.
I can understand if the grant works matching funds, but if it's all right, just an out grant to a department, I've got 6 grants in the last 4 years.
Mhm.
I didn't ask for approval of them. You know, a lot of these grants, the state health, the Department of Health will send down, you know, deadline is 1 week from the time they send it out. I can't wait to come to the council and say, hey, I need approval, apply for the grant. Now, I understand if it's matching funds, but just the grants that I get, well, I got one last week, 2 weeks ago from United Way for $500.
Mhm.
Why should we have to come tell you that we're applying for a grant? If we get it, then yes, maybe come say, hey, we received this grant. But
I think the idea was that, whatever you're purchasing, we want to know what that is, or whatever you're getting the grant for, so that we can have a heads up and start thinking ahead for like how we're going to replace it, or what's the life expectancy of it, if it's, you know,
well,
even
the
if
grant's
it's,
not, you don't, you know, like.
I mean, if you purchase a piece
I'm
of
in agreement with Warren that, and Alan or whoever, if, you know, if it's not gonna cost us anything, apply for it.
You know, if we get it.
I mean, you know,
but
our next meeting, let us know that you applied.
or maybe if it's over a certain amount or something, because if there's something that's $50,000.
Well, as long as we
No
don't have to
match
match it or anything, you know, I don't see where, you know, but I think
think
they
we
need
need-
to let us know about it. You know,
And
but as far as us
Just don't
approving
enforce
it,
it. If we get, like, I get a grant for $1,000 from the Department of Health, and I didn't get your approval, who's gonna enforce it? Are you gonna make me give it back to them? No, that's, you know, you tell us, look for grants, try to get grants, but then at the same time, you're telling us we gotta come to you before we can apply for a grant. And the time frame sometimes it's not there.
I think it's strictly for planning purposes is really the intent of this, is so that we can know what's being applied for, what the matches are, if there's no match, and what we're gonna have to look ahead at replacing in the future. Because if you get something, I think the anticipation is you're not gonna get it one time and then once the life expectancy's out, you don't ever have it again. You may find it very useful and we have to
Well, no,
replace it.
last year I didn't apply for United Way.
Mhm.
The 2 years prior to that I did, and the last year I didn't, because I still had supplies that was left over from 2 years ago.
Mhm.
On this
Now
ordinance,
supplies are down. I applied, they gave me $500.
I know they're still working on it, so I haven't even seen it. I don't know what all it entails. I think Rod and David are.
David, we're working on
on
it.
this ordinance, are we strengthening a state statute, or this is a completely separate county ordinance?
I think they had one before.
I don't
They
know
had
if
a
the state has
resolution.
anything on the.
No, it's
ballot.
just,
No,
it's
this is-
strictly for planning. I
the
think, it's-
counties had one, but it
yes,
never got signed, correct?
I don't have a signed copy of
back
it.
when Luke, I think
Mhm.
2020, 21. maybe.
David had asked me to look into this, and the only thing I could find was a resolution copy from 2021
Mhm.
that was with the December 16th of 2021 meeting minutes in the minute book.
December 16th.
Yeah, December 16th of 2021, but it's
Not
just
signed.
not signed, it's just there.
I guess we could go back on the video and see if they, but I remember being there. And, again, I think the intent's all just for planning purposes. I don't think it's to micromanage anybody. So
So I went to 22.
anyways, we'll see what they come up with next meeting.
Same time with these grants, then if you're gonna use them as a planning purposes, then we're going to end up getting our budget cut the next year because we had grant money.
Not necessarily.
I just, you know.
My personal recommendation, Warren,
I'm gonna
we keep
apply for it.
applying for grants until we see what the ordinance says.
And even after ordinance, you're trying to micromanage the department heads. on how
I'm not, I mean, I'm gonna do what I
Well,
can.
That's definitely not the intention.
No,
I
I think
think
it could be
correct.
transparency in government, you know.
That's not happening right now.
Okay, so the next item is, next meeting is Thursday, May 23rd at 5:00, and it'll be held back at the courthouse. So nobody has anything else? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion made by Paul, second by Gail. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you, everyone.
That paper signed, so,